Poseidon nickel scandal in the late 1960s left a lasting mark on the mining industry in Australia and around the world. It exposed how poor exploration practices, sloppy estimations, and unchecked optimism could massively inflate and overstate the size and value of a mineral deposit. The fallout irreparably shattered confidence in the mining sector. If a company's calculations and claims about their assets could be so wildly inaccurate, how could investors and the public trust any of the numbers reported about resources and reserves? It became glaringly evident that the mining industry was operating in the Wild West, that is, with no standardized, regulated guidelines for how mineral deposits must be estimated and publicly disclosed. Each mining company followed their own internal processes, methods, and reporting terminology. This led to apples to oranges comparisons between companies that created confusion and made it extremely difficult to properly evaluate, analyse, and compare projects. Stringent checks and balances were needed to protect investors and ensure the credibility of the entire sector. Recognising the industry crisis triggered by Poseidon, Australia's mining industry leaders leapt into action to develop a standardised reporting code. In 1971, the Australasian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, or AusIMM, established the Joint Ore Reserves Committee, known as JORC. This committee was tasked with the critically important mission of establishing clearly defined professional requirements for how mineral resources and ore reserves must be estimated and publicly reported. After years of consultation with companies, regulators, investors, and international mining organisations, JORC released the first edition of its code in 1989. This code was established as the new ethical industry benchmark. Transparency was the core underlying principle, ensuring the assumptions and details of any technical studies were fully disclosed to allow for third-party reviews and audits. How does the JORC framework for mineral resource estimation deliver these principles? Let's start answering that by looking at the resource classification requirements. Mineral resources must be subdivided into inferred, indicated, or measured categories based on geological confidence from exploration data. Inferred has low geological confidence, indicated is reasonably confident, and measured has high confidence. These clear classifications provide transparency in the reliability of the data. And the data collection itself has its own set of requirements. Estimation must be based on sufficient quality exploration data, such as drilling, sampling, trenching, etc. Quality assurance, quality control, QA/QC, for data collection and analysis is mandatory. Data spacing and distribution must be sufficient for geological and grade continuity assumptions. That is, the drill holes cannot be spaced so far apart that the confidence of what lies between the drill holes is low. Further to these specific requirements are regulations around methodology. Appropriate estimation techniques must be used, such as geostatistics, inverse distance, etc. Estimation parameters used, like search radii, sample compositing, must be disclosed. This information must be made public to allow the reader to understand the estimation fully. Assumptions about modelling geological domains, continuity, etc. must be reasonable. There's also strong guidance on resource reporting and cut-off grades. Reported tonnages and grades must relate to potential eventual economic extraction. resources must be quoted above a reasonable prospect for eventual economic extraction cutoff. Cutoff grade calculation parameters and assumptions must be documented. Reporting must use prescribed JORC terminology for public reports so that we're all speaking the same language. Perhaps most importantly, the code mandated that all public reports must be prepared and signed off by a competent person, essentially mining industry professionals who possess the relevant experience and qualifications. This competent person requirement enforced accountability and ethical obligations. While voluntary, the JORC code quickly became the global accepted best practice framework, adopted by an international array of mining companies, regulators, and stock exchanges, and remains so today. In the next podcast episode, we'll explore the lessons learned and the ongoing implications from the Poseidon Bubble and the introduction of the Australasian Code for reporting of exploration results, mineral resources, and ore reserves, known simply as the JORC Code.